I would like to call to order the Board of Directors meeting for the Sacramento Metropolitan Fire District for August 12th, 2021.
Would you like me to call the roll?
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould?
Here.
Orzali is absent. Wood?
Here.
Sheets? Jones?
Here.
White?
Here.
Clark?
Here.
Taylor's? Here. And Kelly?
Present. All right then, pledge to the flag. Please see the flag is in its proper place. And repeat after Director Woods.
Allegiance
To the
To the flag
of the United States of
of the
America
United States of America,
and to the
to the republic
for which it stands,
for which it stands,
one nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
and justice for all. And please forgive me for not standing. ALS may not have allowed me to get back in my chair. I would have had to pick myself up off the floor. So, all right then. The Metro Cable announcement. The open session meeting is videotaped for Cablecast on Metro Cable 14, replay on Monday, August 16th at 6 p.m. and Tuesday, August 17th at 9 a.m. on channel 14. Webcast at www.sacmetrocabletv.tv. The public opportunity to discuss matters of public interest within jurisdiction, including items on or not on the agenda. Are there any speakers, Madam Clerk?
I did not have anybody contact me in advance, but you can just see if there's anyone who'd like to speak.
So yeah, I have allowed to unmute if there's anything they would like to say at this time. That would be great.
Seeing none, we will proceed. Consent items. What's your pleasure with the consent items?
Mr. Chair, I'll move the consent calendar.
I'll second.
I believe that was a motion by Director Woods and a second by Director Jones. Any questions on the motion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Muted.
Are you muted, Director Gould?
No,
Oh,
couldn't hear you.
oh, sorry. Director Gould?
Aye.
Wood?
Aye.
Jones?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Taylor's? And Kelly?
Aye. All right then. Moving on to action items. Number one is the LAFCO Local Area Formation Commission. Item related to their special district representative election. If you've had a chance to read the attached documentation, and everybody knows that Director Jones has been our representative for special districts on LAFCO for quite some time. And Director Jones, will you please speak to this item?
Thank you, President Kelly. Yes, the Sacramento, LAFCO encompasses 7 members on the commission. 2 are special district, 2 are from the county, 1 is from the city of Sacramento, and the other one rotates through the other incorporated cities in our county. And additionally, there is a public member appointed by the board. And so my seat for special district representative is up for election again. And I hope for the continued support of this board to continue with LAFCO. There are a lot of issues that end up touching Metro, some directly, some indirectly, especially in regards to special districts. LAFCO is concerned with boundaries and municipal service reviews to make sure we do our delivery of service to the best of our ability. So with that being said, I would appreciate this board's support to continue and put my name in nomination for the special district commissioner seat.
All right. Thank you, Director Jones.
Chair, I nominate.
Yeah.
As our nominee.
Did somebody make a nomination?
I'll nominate.
Director
Oh,
Woods?
I'll second it.
Okay. Director Woods nominated Director Jones. Director Clark seconded the nomination. Any questions on the motion? Seeing no questions, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould,
Happily, aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets, Jones,
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Sailors,
Aye.
and Kelly.
Aye.
Motion passes.
On the second item, 1B, the way I understand it, we have pretty good representation on that board now, and that spot should be left to somebody that's the incumbent at this time. And Director Jones, will you speak to that?
Yes, thank you very much, President Kelly. There is one alternate position that serves as the alternate for both of the special district commissioners on LAFCO. And currently that's held by a representative from Rio Linda Parks and Rec. I talked with Charlie yesterday. She wants to continue, and I would hope that our board would also continue to support her in her efforts. Now she will need to be nominated by her board as well. And then within 60 days or so, we will get our nomination, our ballot with the nominations on it. So
All right then.
Questions?
No. Then we don't need to take action on 1B at this time necessarily.
That is
correct.
correct.
All right then. We will wait for that ballot to come through and take action at that time. Hold this over for unfinished business. All right, moving on to item 2, of course. This item will be voted on after our closed session discussion. Presentation items. Item number 1, is Joe Pick available?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to you.
Yeah.
You want to do it? You want to do it?
Sure. That'd be great. If I can, if I'm far enough distance to, first and foremost, I would like to acknowledge Chief Harms as our Chief Challenge Award winner for our boot drive for the Firefighters Burn Institute. And I understand you've taken that honor.
Yes, thank you.
As you know, I've been a Metro, I retired from Metro Fire. My allegiance to this organization, my honor and my pride of being a part of this organization is carried out through my career and beyond. So I would like to thank Metro Fire for their contributions to our organization. That would be the Firefighters Burn Institute. I'd like to give a shout out to all the elements that Metro Fire has provided, from Mark Siebert in logistics, to our A board members, Jeremy Crawford, current captain with your department, Forrest Rowell, a retired captain from your department, the shop that makes sure that the SUPN is available to us, to Mike Spike, who recently passed away and who committed himself to the transportation of our youth and their families to our camps. His son, Casey Spike, has taken on that torch and is continuing with newcomer. Mike Spike's donation to us was huge, and it represented his commitment to our organization. We have a plaque, and we just finished it up, and it's at the Burn Institute right now. And the quote on the plaque represents a quote from a parent that met him as he brought them and their little and their kid to camp. for many years. And then that first year that they had to put their child on a plane, and Mike Speich and Newcomer were there to pick them up. And their trust in us, their trust in who was going to pick them up was conveyed to us. And we felt very honored by that. We felt very honored by Mike Speich's commitment to our organization and to the fire service as a whole. I did want to touch Mill Station. That was another. We had an event at the Mill Station Community Center that they did a fundraiser for us. The Mill Station group, which is getting to be a very small group, got that engine out, got that out to Mill Station. And to me, it just honors our culture, who we are, our past, our present, and our future. And so I was very honored for that. What I wanted to convey to you as a board is what our commitment is to our burn community. LRT is one of our flagships. If a firefighter gets burned, and I don't care if it's a volunteer, it's a private paid, it's a union firefighter, it doesn't matter. If they end up at UC Davis, we support that family. We have now, in the last year, expanded that to a community-based concept that any individual that is burned, you call us up, to our office and convey to us, allow us to connect with a family member. That allows us to build a relationship that is long-term. Because with burn injuries, it's not just the care that they get at UC Davis. And we know UC Davis and Shriners getting the best care they could get in the world. And my partnership with them is huge. What we try to do is that aftercare, that continued peer support, mental health, family support, make sure that those families have a place to stay, have a gas card to be able to drive down there, have a food card, whatever that support we can for the family. And that's truly what I'm here to communicate today is our commitment. We, as the fire service, we're on the front lines. We see those situations that happen. If we take that extra time to find out who those family people are, connect them with resources that are available to them, that makes their journey that much more successful. And peer support, Jeff Wells and Kevin Summers, 2 Metro retirees. I can't say enough about those individuals. I work hand in hand with those. Jeff Wells, who makes sure that the peer support for firefighters that are struggling after they've been through an incident, that they have that support. Kevin Summers with the chaplaincy is, I can't say enough about him. He is there, every firefighter, every individual. I give him a call, he's there in the hospital with them. I reference these people because these are Metro firefighters. They're my family, and I thank you. I take pride in my family, and I appreciate everything that Metro has done. And again, Chief Harms, nice job. He's 2 years in the running, if going on the 3rd. He created the concept of, if I reach out ahead of time and get people to pre-donate, I can make a difference. He's made a huge difference. The support we get from Metro Fire when we do our group drive is huge. And I thank you all for that. And I thank the board.
So on behalf of Metro Fire, Chief Harms, the men and women of Metro Fire, we can't thank you enough. There are no winners or losers when it comes to the Firefighters Burn Institute. Really, the winners are the patients because they're getting the funding that they need. I think we've all been in the position before where we're having to make that phone call, and it's incredibly comforting to know that somebody's picking it up. And in 9 times out of 10, we're getting special help in the ER before our firefighters even arrive. So I think there's something to be said about that. So it is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I would like to give one more direct story of a Metro firefighter that had hand injuries. And again, this is our medical process that they have to go through, that had we not been involved, he would have been discharged with a wrap on his hand and said, go back to work. He had burns on his hands that have since needed grafts because of the burn team and because of our LRT communicating with them and coming down there and saying, no, he cannot go back to work and stick his hands in those gloves and then go back into another fire environment. He got the treatment that he needed. So we feel honored to be a part of success stories. So thank you. Thank you, board.
All right,
Thank you.
Chief Wagaman, and I hope that I've never held it before. Pony up, brother.
All right, Chief Wagaman, I guess you are on for the fiscal 21-22 facilities plan update.
That's it. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine. I'm not sure about everybody else.
All right. So good evening, Board of Directors. Tyler Wagaman, Deputy Chief of Support Services with your facilities update for year 21-22. First off, I want to talk about our staffing. So our facilities division has one supervisor. His name is John Rayside. He is new as a supervisor, very much wanted to be here tonight, but he had a family event. But we're going to definitely get some FaceTime with you and him here in the near future, so you know who he is. He has a staff of 4 technicians. And we're very fortunate because each one of those technicians have a specialty. We have a plumber, we have an electrician, an HVAC specialist, as well as a general contractor. So when you put this crew of 5 together, they're truly a powerhouse. Each and every month, they process just over 100 e-maintenance requests. And when you look at a district of our size with 47 buildings, that's a full-time job in itself, just to keep the maintenance needs up at all of our facilities. So they do an incredible job day in and day out. So some of the projects that they're working on this year, and I will go through them, starting off with our facilities, our fleet maintenance asphalt project, which has already been well underway. We added about 64,000 square feet of new asphalt that provides a bigger footprint for our fire apparatus, as well as we purchased a draft commander. It's a mobile draft unit that our mechanics can now use on site for annual pump testing, as well as any time that they do a maintenance that requires a pump test after that. It also allows our firefighters an opportunity to have another training tool there. To become an engineer, you need to know how to draft, and that is another tool that's available to them now at our fleet division that they can utilize for those additional new skills. They're working on a remodeling project right now at our logistics division, creating some new necessary space for our training health and safety folks. This year, we're going to be installing additional backup generators. Not all of our fire stations have backup power. Each and every year, we are faced with some sentinel events that take power down for multiple hours. And we do want to get to a point where we have backup power in every single one of our stations, so we don't lose the ability to open up garage doors and respond to calls. This year, we would like to chip away at station 25, 27, 23, 24, and 62 with those backup generators. Also in this headquarters building, this building is just over 20 years old, and it needs a new AC condenser. That's a big project though. It's going to require some engineering. It's also a costly project. We're anticipating it cost about $500,000. So that's one of the things that we are going to accomplish this year. It is becoming very costly for us to maintain it. Also, we received notification from Sac Suburban Water, and they want us to install some backflow preventing devices at some of our stations. So station 112 and station 105 this year will be getting new backflow preventing devices. Again, with our plumber that we have on board, we can do this a lot cheaper, having our own staff do it rather than having a vendor come out and do that for us. One of the projects that we had to put on hold last year due to COVID was our station flooring project, another needed project for our stations, but we're going to ramp that back up this year. In fact, the The RFP process is already well underway, about 95% complete, with the goal to complete Station 27, Station 63, Station 65, Station 106, and Station 109 this year. You may or may not notice, but we have two large signs here at our Metro headquarters. They are backlit signs, but they, for some reason, stopped working a little while back. So we're going to get those repaired, as well as the graphics on it need to be replaced as well. Our partners over at the Sheriff's Department at our building at 2101 Hurley are requesting some repairs there as well, to include a new seal coat and striping for their parking lot. We're going to knock that out this year as well. We're going to repaint Station 117, Station 63. We're going to repair a sewer line that's needed over at Station 42. And another big project is Station 68, which is well underway. We hope to get that project completed as one of our brand new fire stations in March of this year. Now on to our biggest priority, and that is our bathrooms. We have 4 fire stations in our district right now that need additional bathroom space. They need additional showers. And our team has been working diligently, making that a #1 priority within the facilities division to get that done. And that is Station 41, Station 53, Station 23, and Station 21. I'm happy to report that Station 41 is complete, and work is already underway at Station 53. Once they complete Station 53, the goal is to start Station 21. I know last time I spoke with you, we didn't have a plan in place just yet for 21. We do have a solid plan now with the goal to start work in September, likely September 20th at Station 21. Station 23 is a little bit more challenging. We have 9 firefighters that work there. It's a relatively small footprint, and we just have no room to expand. So this is going to be a 2-tiered plan. We have a long-term plan that Jeff Fry and Aaron Castleberry are already working on, and they're putting together an RFP for architectural and engineer work, which will go out to bid hopefully on October 14th. So whether we need to expand that station or completely remodel it, hopefully we have the expertise through this RFP to identify exactly what it is that's needed in order to accomplish what we need to and provide our staff with the essential facilities like that station. Temporarily, because that is likely going to take some time to complete. I'll be honest with you, it'll probably take a couple of years, a project of that magnitude, but we need to do something now. So we have a temporary solution, and that is to purchase a modulated restroom, a 2-stall restroom that has showers and bathrooms in it, and it will be installed behind the station. I've already been working with vendors on specifications for that product. I've also done some site walks with our facility staff, identifying the needs for electrical, sewer, and water. And our goal is to accomplish that and get it installed this fiscal year. And lastly, and I think more importantly, is we all know that the priorities change each and every day throughout the district. And our staff has been absolutely incredible. And every time we change a priority, that they don't blink an eye, they go right back to work again. So rest assured that the facilities team that you have, as well as the plan that we have in place, is going to be incredibly flexible throughout this fiscal year. If there's a need to change priorities, we're certainly willing to do that. That concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Are there any questions of Chief Wagaman's report? Seeing none, or wait, Director Jones?
Thank you, President Kelly. I just want to say thank you to Chief Wagaman. I can't be more pleased with progress and plan and things on paper, and certain levels of construction already completed. As we all can recall, I mean, there are like 9 people working in the station that basically has one way back. So I am so glad to hear that we are taking our first steps, and you've given us a plan for the full course to get completed. Thank you, Chief.
Welcome, Director.
Thank you, Chief Wagaman. Any other questions? Seeing none at this time, we will move to closed session. Shall we take care of board members' questions and comments before closed session? No, let's just move on to closed session then. All right, see everybody in the closed session meeting.
Recording stopped.
All right, seeing that we're all back.
Recording in progress.
We do not have general counsel with us, so we don't have a report out from closed session. Was anybody going to handle that?
Yes, I can, absolutely. So the board met in closed session and met regarding 2 items. First, conference with the labor negotiator. There was no reportable action. Second, IDR for Craig Henderson, and there was no reportable action for that one either.
All right then, thank you. Let's go ahead and deal with action item number 2, the industrial disability retirement for Captain Greg Henderson. Will anybody on the board have a feeling on this?
Mr. Chair, I'd move staff's recommendation.
Second.
Excellent. We've got a motion and a motion by Director Woods, second by Director Clark to follow staff's recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Director Gould,
Aye.
Wood,
Aye.
Sheets, Jones, White,
Aye.
Clark,
Aye.
Taylors, and Kelly.
Aye.
Passes.
All right. Moving on to reports of officers, delegates, and committees. Reports, President's Office. I have nothing to report. Fire Chief's report.
Yeah, good evening. Can
Who's
you hear me okay?
Chief Wagaman? Thank you.
Good evening, directors, once again. I'd like to start off just briefly talking about COVID. I know it's been something that we've been dealing with now for over 18 months. And now with the new variant, we're dealing with some new challenges once again. And we are doing our absolute best to stay ahead of that. There's a lot of information floating around. And we're trying to do everything we can to ensure our members have the latest and greatest testing as well as access to vaccinations and so forth. So with that being said, in our current staffing challenges, with the addition of the COVID variant, we're having some other challenges on top of that. So it's further complicating our staffing challenges. So I want to just make it public that I'm beyond appreciative of our suppression and our professional staff who continue to step up each and every day to get the district's work done and continue to provide service. I know Chief Mitchell is going to go into some greater detail on some of the mandatory requirements that will be coming out in the future and some of the planning that's taking place behind the scenes. Also, I'd like to cover some reassignments. Our information officer, Chris Vessel, was promoted to battalion chief. His replacement is Captain Parker Wilborn. This was his first week in the office here today. It was great to see him walk up the doors and he couldn't get through. And I actually saw him out in the parking lot later this afternoon with a couple cameras in his face. So he has already found his niche. And I have no doubt that he's going to do an incredible job. And we'll try to get him before you just as quick as we can so he can get some face time with you. Recruitments. We have several. So currently actively hiring firefighter, paramedics, and EMTs. That is open until August 23rd. We have a career development position for a public information officer. This is a relief position. So this is to assist Captain Wilborn in his duties. And that's open until August 13th. We have a reassignment opportunity for EMS captain in our EMS division that's set to close on August 24th. We have lateral firefighter training drill instructor that's set to close on August 23rd. And our 2021 fire captain promotion exam, and that's going to close on September 3rd. A big congratulations in order to engineer Doug Dozell on his retirement after 26 years of dedication and service to the district, as well as Captain Bob Matheson, 31 years of service to the district. So we wish them both the best in their retirement. Some standing meetings that we have attended. Myself, the fire chief, the executive staff, along with the city's fire chief and executive staff, we met on July 26th. Again, this is a standing meeting that we've had. We talk about some challenges as well as some successes across the region. Really, the goal is to not make decisions in a silo. We know when we make decisions, it affects other agencies. Just as when they make decisions, it's going to affect us as well. And our goal is to have those conversations before we reach a decision. So it's been a very informative and productive meeting, and we look forward to future meetings. Our labor management meeting we had on July 28th. Labor brought before us some ideas on some staffing changes for Medic 112 with respect to partial assignments, as well as we had some conversation about the reporting threshold for COVID-19, as well as masking requirements and testing requirements. So a lot of conversations with labor recently regarding COVID and those requirements. And lastly, I participated along with our PIO, Parker Wilborn, at a City of Citrus Heights Chamber luncheon on August 10th. This was actually a really good presentation by their police chief, Chief Lawrence. He talked about 45 minutes or so on policing in America as it stands today. So we took it through the whole history of policing and ended with his plans moving forward and what policing looks like for the City of Citrus Heights. So very productive meeting. I learned a lot from it, as well as it gave our PIO an opportunity to have some face time with the city officials, as well as some community members and business members. So that concludes my report, and I'd like to pass it over to Chief Mitchell for the operations report.
Okay, thanks, Chief Wagman. Good evening, directors. Adam Mitchell, Deputy Chief of Operations for the operations report tonight. Starting off, like Chief Wagman had mentioned, on the COVID front, we're doing a lot of things in response to the recent mandates that have come down from the state, as well as direction from County Public Health. Back on the 26th of July, there was a vaccination and testing of non-vaccinated mandate that came out from the state that was followed up from the Sac County Department of Public Health saying we're going to follow that from the state. And on 28th, there was the masking mandate, doesn't matter your vaccination status for indoor areas. And then again on August 5th, there was an additional mandate that came out from the state regarding vaccination amongst healthcare workers for everyone by September 30th. So as we had mentioned before, in the COVID environment, as we're all used to, there's a lot of changes going on. Right now, our position, we started with a meeting this past Monday with labor and a number of other stakeholders amongst the agency to discuss, okay, here's some of the new things that we have coming down. However, there's not a lot of clarification yet, either on the legal side or actually from even our county health director, as to what actually applies to fire and EMS personnel, which weren't specifically called out in any of those mandates, and how we're going to move forward. As we have done all along throughout COVID, we're committed to making sure we're within the guidelines of the mandates. So I'm happy to report that we're working closely with 522, our other regional fire agency partners, Department of Public Health through our relationship with Dr. Cassirier, as well as our own medical director at Sacramento County EMSA, to really drill down to what is it that we are required to do in writing so that we can move forward to make sure we're meeting that, as well as allow our members that opportunity to give the best opportunity for them to have that, have the protections that we want them to have, and that say in what we end up doing. So more to come on that. We'll continue to have those planning meetings, if you will, over the next few weeks to continue to adapt. But as we're all aware, after these past 18 plus months, things keep changing on a daily basis, and we're staying as proactive as possible to meet all the requirements that we can. So we're looking forward to more conversation there. Secondly, I'll talk a little bit about the river incident that occurred up with our neighbors there in the Placer County area last August 4th, last Wednesday. They had a incident that occurred there that started in the afternoon on the 4th. They reached out to our operational area here in Sacramento County, and they really needed some help. And so they made a request for an initial attack strike team, which I'm happy to report we were able to get on the road very quickly. And so it was a big success. We ended up sending 4 apparatus, 4 engine companies from Metro Fire, 1 from Sacramento Fire, and 1 of our battalion chiefs on duty, who was a strike team leader, lights and sirens up the hill. They did end up burning approximately just under 2,600 acres after one period, and they didn't experience any further growth. Unfortunately, they did lose almost 80 homes up there. However, our folks, from the feedback from talking with their incident command staff, did a phenomenal job of actively engaging in structure defense and saved numerous structures while they were there. So very, very good work up there by our folks. And this is a little bit different than a typical strike team, in that they were sitting in the fire station. Tones went off just like they were going to a fire in our own jurisdiction. 3 of them jump on the apparatus and they're gone. So they didn't take any of those logistical support. types of things they normally would do to be set up for a number of days. They just drove up there, did the work, stayed there overnight. They were released the next day and all came home safely. So that's a very good testament to our ability in our area to not just have a positive impact for our own members, but also our partners. So happy to report that was a very big success. We haven't had one of those for a few years where we've actually engaged on something like that. Probably the last one we had was a sand fire that occurred up in Amador El Dorado unit up there. That was a number of years ago. So big success there. And then directly following that, due to the size and complexity of the incident, the unit, Nevada Yuba Placer unit, actually requested the activation of our Type 3 incident management team. So a number of our members from Metro Fire, as well as our partners from the other fire agencies, Sacramento Sheriff's Department, Sacramento Police Department, Amador El Dorado unit, all came together and went up there within a few hours starting of that incident, that very first night, all the way through the next few days to help support them to build out an incident plan, to build a base camp at the fairgrounds, and really had a good impact on the state system where we didn't have to bring in a Type 1 incident management team, which was very close to doing that because of the drawdown. So we're very appreciative across the state on our ability to reflex and do that. So that's been a very good positive. We do have 2 OES resources that are currently deployed out there. Task Force 4803, our engine company OES 8433, a Type 3 OES engine out of Station 29 is still deployed. It's been deployed. We just completed our second 14-day crew rotation. So there's another 2-week rotation. It would be up to 6 weeks potentially out for that apparatus. But the crews have been rotating every 2 weeks to be able to meet that contractual obligation with OES and make sure that we're still supporting. They're on the Dixie Fire, which that's not something that everybody's aware of it, I guess. They've burned over 500,000 acres at this point. It is now the second largest wildfire acreage-wise in the state of California's history. And then it's also the 14th most destructive in the California history. And that's probably the first large-scale incident we've had this year, and it just keeps going. They are at 30% containment, so they're starting to get some ground on that, but our crews are still up there actively engaged in that. And then our second resource is the Type 1 engine, OES 367 out of Station 50. We have also a strike team leader and a trainee up there leading a mixed regional apparatus strike team. So they are actually scheduled for their second crew rotation this coming Saturday. And right now they're assigned up on the Monument incident in Trinity County, and that's at 67,000 acres, just over 67,000 acres. And they're only at 3% containment. So there's still a number of other fires in the state that are growing, but our folks are out there doing what we can. And again, we're watching that. Those are contractual obligations. We're making sure that we're doing our best to maintain staffing here at home as well. So we're helping our neighbors so that when we need help, we can call them in at that balance point of making sure we're staffing the best that we can here. And then statistics, notably this since the last board report, we've had 7,705 calls, which is an average over that time frame of 3 weeks of about 367 calls a day. And I mentioned that it's notable because of this significant increase we've seen in call volume. If we look at that 367 number, Chief Wagman and I earlier were looking at some of the statistics, and we went back to a time period in May and we ran those numbers. We were about 300 to 310 calls a day. So we've made a pretty big jump over time in the number of incidents we're having. So our folks are getting busier out there along with having to work and things like that. And our membership has stepped up and done a great job of continuing to do so under these trying times. And then finally, I'll just make a quick reference. Last board meeting, Mr. Carr, during public comment, made some comments regarding our boat operations. I'm happy to report we did reach out to him. Our Special Operations Battalion Chief Farica reached out to him, had a very, very positive phone conversation. And he was made aware of some of the things we're doing internally to take a look at our boat operations, to educate some of the public about what our boats do and why they're there, as well as some awareness training for our crew members to make them aware of how the boat impacts those enjoying the river, and then some mitigations they can put in place to minimize those interactions that could be perceived negatively by the public. So happy to answer any questions. Other than that, it's in my report.
So one question, with the OES rig being out, have they gone from multiple fires now? I mean, I think that over a month even.
Yeah.
Like predate the Dixie, so.
Yeah, they've been moving around a little bit, Tamarack, and then that type 3, and then the type 1 actually started on the Dixie, and I don't know if you were aware, it started to look like they were turning the corner on that incident, and then it took off and went through Greenville and some of those other areas. So they actually, our type 1 had been there. They released an emergency demo early on when the Monument fire started to go try to put that one out, and then the Dixie fire took off again. So yeah, they've been bouncing a little bit. But that 2-week period of us rotating those crews has been a good thing. Obviously, they're out there working for 14 days and we get them back home to do the best they can.
Seems like they're extended.
Everybody.
Teams 3 weeks now.
Yep, they're going to the 21 day on some of them now. We're stuck at 14 though, just due to the fatigue factor.
Gotcha.
Understanding that in the history of fire season, if we can call it a fire season anymore, this is early. I mean, we typically don't see stuff burning until late August, September, we'll start seeing these, but it is early drought. Right, we haven't had any rain, so, or snow. So.
Any other questions of Chief Mitchell? Chief Mitchell, thank you very much for the report. Moving on to Sac Metro Firefighters Local 522 report. Captain McGoldrick, are you with us?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir.
Perfect. Good evening, President Kelly and Board of Directors. Pretty much everything's already been covered in previous reports. I would like to extend a congratulations to the 2 retirees. I'd like to also acknowledge the membership for stepping up. These have been trying times for the last 18 to 20 months. Things are seeming to become more difficult with call volume and all the additional outside influences on our staffing model. We look forward to meeting with staff and staffers and labor tomorrow to discuss some changes we can make to the staffing model in order to try to continue coverage for the district. That's all I have unless you have any questions.
Are there any questions of Captain McGoldrick? Seeing none, thank you for your report. Okay, moving on to committee and delegate reports. Nothing from the executive committee. The Communications Center JPA, Deputy Chief Wagaman.
Good evening, directors. The dispatch board met last on August 10th on Tuesday at 9 o'clock here at the Metro Board Chambers. During that meeting, there was a few action items. We approved a replacement AC unit and approved a new board policy for record retention, as well as approved a Paraton quotation for CAD data file maintenance for its training class. I'm happy to report that the next scheduled recruit academy for our dispatchers is on September 7th with 13 new members ready to go. That concludes my report. The board will be meeting again on September 14th, again here at Metro Board Chambers. End of report.
All right then. The California Fire Rescue Training JPA. Chief Harms, I got this one for you. JPA has not met since he last reported out. They will be meeting again on August 19th at 4 p.m. on Gold Canal Drive. All right, moving on to Finance and Audit Committee. Director Orzali, are you with us, sir?
He is not, but I can take it. We have not met since our last meeting. Our next meeting will be August 26th at 5:30 in this room.
Thank you very much. And Policy Committee, Director Gould.
Report.
All right. Board members' questions and comments. Director Gould, would you start?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate all the reports tonight and the conversations. They've been rich with information. Congratulations to the retirees. Also want to give a shout out to all the men and women who are working their tails off with all of the issues that surround this community. And then I'd just like to ask my colleagues for us to consider what we're going to do relative to the resurgent. I have a brother that's uber vaccinated and has come down and is very sick with the reinfection. And so I'm just asking my colleagues to consider us continuing to meet virtually until we have better data on what this resurgence is doing to even those of us that are vaccinated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want a couple of comments. Our PIO position's always been staffed very well. We've had great people from Michelle Eideman, Chris Vestal did a great job. Looking forward to working with Parker Wilborn. Congratulate Captain Vestal, who's now battalion chief, on his promotion. Want to also just congratulate Chief Harms on the FFBI trophy and thank Joe Pick for coming by. Looking forward to finally getting things opened up and being able to participate and help them with more fundraisers and volunteer opportunities. I also need to thank Fire Marshal Barsdale and her staff for their quick work in responding to an issue that came up that was raised by a constituent regarding a project on Stockton Boulevard. So I thank her for all the time she and her staff put into it. And just last, I just want to make a comment, just observation. You have primates, elephants, and even pig species will show considerable evidence of care for others and solidarity in danger, in the face of danger. I just think it's really unfortunate and disheartening to see our leaders failing to act with at least the minimum consideration for our fellow species, as is demonstrated in those species that we consider below ours. So just be good humans, wear a mask, and get vaccinated. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Director White.
Just want to acknowledge all the crews that are working tirelessly to combat the wildfires. There's actually 11 throughout the state that I know we've had crews on for weeks at a time, and just acknowledge the crews that are working hard not only through this fire season but through this pandemic. So thank you.
All right, Director Jones.
Thank you, President Kelly. Ditto to everything that my fellow directors have said. I appreciate your eloquence. Thank you all very much. The only thing I have to add is a thank you to my fellow directors for nominating me to continue in my laughable position. Thank you.
All right then, Director Sheets.
Thank you. I also would like to just echo the sentiments of all of our board members, keeping our members at the forefront and making sure that we are sending well wishes and making sure that our members are given not only options but also the PPE that they need, and I wish them every day. I say prayers for them. So thank you.
Thank you. Director Clark.
No comment, Mr. Chairman.
Director Sailors.
No comments. Thank you.
All right, then I will wrap it up and hope that everybody is safe in their travels if you're traveling. And I would second Director Wood in his comments. Believe the science, people. All right. Have a good night, everybody. It's been a pleasure.